Hello, and thank you for joining
Hello.
me for this Wisdom Keepers of Earth series. This is my dear friend, Evelyn Kaiser, and we are here to talk about life and love and joy and how she has been able to really influence so many by so much love that you bring. How did you get there? How did you do? Were you born love? Were you just like, yes, I'm going to hug everyone? Come
No, I
on
don't
over.
think so. I don't think so. It is, but I have always known that I'm capable of love, and it has helped me through some very difficult situations. I mean, as I have shared with you, I was born at a time when we had a world war. And I happened to have been in Germany. And, and so there was this constant awareness of, of danger and transition. And you kind of are forced, even as a child, to kind of think of what if you're going to leave this life, and what does that look like?
Mm.
So there was never, as far as I am concerned, there was never any fear of this. There was just appreciation for what I could experience on a daily level. And I remember one time, I don't know if you want me to go into particulars,
Sure. Tell us
but
the story.
it was when the Russians entered Berlin. They were the only ones of the Allied troops that entered that city. And they chose our house. The Russians chose our house because it was still standing, to shoot at across what would you call it, like a parkway, at a house that was on the other side. And I remember the screams. I remember it doesn't matter if you're Russian or German, when you are being hurt, you cry and you scream. And I remember the screams. I remember the only ones who were in the house at that particular time was someone who worked for us and my stepmother. And they were very frightened, very, they were sobbing. And I stood there. The only concession I made to my fear was that I didn't want to see it. So I kind of stood in a corner, and I felt like there was some like angel wings, that something, a comforting presence that was in the back of me, and I just knew that I was going to be all right. I just knew it. I was, somewhere around 10 years old, at maybe 11. And that was my first awareness that there was, that for me, there was always protection. And I have, I've kept all of those forces very busy through my life, because there have been numerous occasions when, when I could have exited. So that brings us to what we want to discuss about transition. I'm now at the age, and having been diagnosed with a very severe heart condition. By the way, it's going on 5 years. So my warranty is really up. But even at the time when they diagnosed it, they really thought, there wasn't too much life left for me. And I just, very frankly, I believe in dialogue with your with your body, in this case, my heart. And the conclusion that we came to was that as long as I still serve a purpose in this life, I will be around. And when I'm done, and this is my hope, of course, and that it's going to be an easy transition. And I work on that. And, this is something that I wake up with a feeling of, wow, this is another day to experience a miracle. And believe me, there are so many miracles that present themselves every single day. They may not be obvious to everyone. You have to kind of look for them. But there is a wonderful feeling about being part of something that is so much bigger than we are individually. And I include nature in that. I'm very fortunate to live in a place that is surrounded by beautiful nature. And so there is this feeling of being part, being able to contribute. I'm still working. I mean, if you want to call it work, when you can alleviate someone else's concerns and fears, that's actually a privilege. It's not work. And you know that better than anyone, because you have been my friend, and definitely have helped me through many situations. So I always thank you for your friendship and for the beautiful being you are.
Wow.
So,
Thank you. Wow. Not many people know you were my mentor for many years as well. I think you really encouraged me to leave behind a lot of the fears of my past. I had a rough beginning, and also learned a lot of what I do out of fear, unfortunately, instead of from a loving perspective. And you really sort of turned the tide on that. You encouraged me to explore what I had to offer. You encouraged me to have play dates with you. We would play and we would get together and talk about organ dialogue. How does one talk to their body? How can we zero in on, say, a heart or a liver and really talk to it and open up the channels for bringing in a healing energy? And I think you and I both know that we have the power within us to do that through the divine grace, of course. So this dialogue that we have with our physical system oftentimes is missing right now in our culture. People want a pill, or they want a quick fix for something, or something that it's a running away from running away from the pain, or running away from. And pain is a very interesting idea because it's such a distraction. It's very difficult to be settled in the mind when one is in pain.
Yes.
And how have you done this? I mean, you seem to have done this. How were you able to?
I think it is because in moments of pain, I have tremendous faith. And I have experienced and have been working for the past, how many years has it been? Almost 20 years, recognizing what the difference is between pain, awareness, and faith. And to have faith at that particular time is, it's a challenge, because you want to give in to what is at this moment overwhelming you. And having had my gallbladder out last year, and had tremendous pain before I succumbed to the knife, so to speak, I know what pain is. I mean, I really do. But I also, during all of this time, I said to myself, what is really my fear with that pain? And I think the fear was that I would be condemned to this pain forever. I really, this was sort of, and I said to myself, no, my mind and my body know how to get rid of this pain. So why don't I just look at the options that I have? And I remember being in the emergency room, and the head of the department came into the room. Never forget him. And I really thought this was my time to leave. And I said, just make the pain go away. And he said, well, we have already given you the strongest that we have. And I said, there's nothing else. And he said, yeah, there is one. He said, but it's not going to be good for your brain. And there was this voice that said to me, this is decision time. Are you going to give up what you know is really important to you, which is mind, body? Or are you going to let a drug just, change that? And I looked at him, I said, no, I think, thank you very much, but I am going to get out of this pain cycle. And he later on told other people about that. And I did. I went into this deep kind of inner strength. And remember, I still was in pain. It wasn't that it magically disappeared, but it was the switch. Because after that, because my mind gave all of the right signals, and the pain subsided.
Can you give us a step? Was there steps involved with that? You've been practicing this for so long, the rest of us are really curious.
Well,
how did you get there?
You have to become very still. The pain is actually a way for your body to tell you, hey, I'm in trouble. It's a how can I say, it's a cry for help. And so I went very deep. This is all, was all new to me. I had never had any gallbladder bladder problems before. I didn't know I had the results, and there was I think it was a large stone that had lodged in the bile duct, and it was too large to be taken out. And but I also I asked it. I visualized. I think this is as best I remember. I visualized that that particular stone is going to move so that the gallbladder will function again. That was my whole concentration. I had to know what it was. And I think I encourage everyone who has pain to really sort of know what causes it, and then try to visualize the source of the pain to be balanced. I don't know, if you have arthritic pain, there's always an inflammatory process that causes the pain. So you try to calm it down. And it will take practice, and you won't achieve it immediately. But I can guarantee you that if you work with your body and you allow it to do what it does best, better than pills, better than many of the treatments that are available, just your body is a wondrous machine. And it really works well if given the chance. And that's what I use. I don't try to second guess it. I'm extremely grateful any morning that I wake up and I can stretch and I can move and I can do the things that I want to do. I constantly reinforce how proud I am of my body, that it's doing such a good job for me. And when I go to bed at night, I thank it. I thank it for a wonderful day, and uh, bless all of the people that I have been in contact with on that particular day. And then I go to sleep, and I wake up in the mornings, and I, have that same feeling of elation that it's another opportunity to live, to experience, to give thoughts to things that are good, and which brings me to a different subject.
Well, I wanted to just ask you, I think now more and more with the leveling up of consciousness that
Yeah.
the planet is doing, people on the planet are doing, that the imaginal realm is very, very real. So if one can imagine this stone shrinking or moving, it can happen that way.
And it
Or,
did.
imagine the divine around you, or imagine angel wings around you, or this deep love and faith, as you say. I think that's a real key piece right there, is knowing that the imaginal realm is real, and it creates thoughts, and it puts the thoughts out there. And
Yeah.
this moves us in this direction of helping ourselves. Whatever it is that we need to do to help ourselves with our brain, our consciousness, connecting with the body and with the divine all at the same time. What can we do? How can we imagine that and then create that?
Yeah, people, including myself, it takes a long time to realize how powerful we are. And we are so ready to give up our power. There are many, many, shall I say, distractions from that awareness. Through the media, there's always, somebody who's telling you someone has done something really bad, or the world is going to HELL in a handbasket. And so after a while, you forget that you have it within yourself to change. You cannot be responsible for someone else's action, but you definitely are responsible for your own. So that is something that has helped me to really feel empowered. I think we all, we always look at an outside source to heal us, to make us happy, to give us joy, and that's very disappointing, because if you look to someone else to supply that, then you are not really giving the God-given, and you can call it anything you want. I think there's a part of us that, you may call it the God particle, which I happen to call it. You can call it the divine, the universe, but there is a power that is so much larger and all-knowing, that when you tap into this and realize that the only way you can connect with it is because you have a receiver inside of you. You also have a transmitter inside of you. It is up to you to activate it. And it's that God particle that is, I think, underused a lot.
Yeah.
And once you understand, without thinking that you are better than others or special, but just knowing that you are part of that, it's amazing how it changes your perception, because then you realize that all the things that you're experiencing are there because you have knowingly or knowingly, did I say knowingly twice? Unknowingly or knowingly, you are the one who has created that. And so the first thing that I get back from people when I say that is, Well, I did not, make it happen that I lost my money in the last, stock market slump, or I did not invite that my son committed suicide. No, of course not knowingly or intentionally. However, and this is, my feeling, is that no matter what I have experienced in my life that seemed to be very unpleasant, discouraging, sad, there was always something good in all of these experiences. Always something good. I just had to look for it a little bit. Like, the famous when I broke my femur in Italy and was totally laid up. The good thing that came out of it, someone as independent as I am, and I'm very, I can do all of this by myself. Well, I was totally and absolutely incapable of doing anything by myself. So I experienced the love of my family in such a way that they gave up all of the plans that they had to be there with me, to do for me, to care for me. What a wonderful thing to experience that. And subsequently, our relationship, which was always good, but it is so much deeper. It is so much deeper. And I can, no matter what I have experienced that was hard at the time, when I look back at these things, I realize, yes, but because of that, I experienced this, or I got to meet that person. Or so if we kind of look at this in our lives and not become the victim, which is very easy to become, oh yeah, poor me, I have this. And you have every right to perhaps say that, but you're not doing yourself a favor because you're denying the power that you have, the God particle. You are part of the whole universe. You're part of something that is just so magnificent that to give that up would be foolish, wouldn't it?
Yes. Did you have a moment where you had a choice where, okay, I have this God particle. And when did this happen to you? When did you decide to make that choice? Because we all have a choice to make. And we're going to decide what road we're going to be on. A lot of us spent a lot of time in the materialistic realm of, earning and creating and bringing in more and creating this and leaving behind a little bit of that knowing of faith and coincidence. We're taking care of idea and really focusing on the other aspects of that. But there comes a time where we have to maybe put that materialistic concept aside. That old paradigm doesn't really work anymore. It's not that I don't want to earn money or I don't want to be comfortable. It's that I know it's my divine right to have these things and I will be taken care of as part of the divine within me without expressing an egoic sense, but knowing, there's this knowing and having that difference of knowing. I think more people are beginning to realize that there is a new way to do this. There's a new way, there's a new path to life that doesn't necessarily mean it's all about a material concept. And maybe it's easy to say because I feel comfortable where I am and I feel more comfortable with who I am. And I have come from a place where there wasn't any, right? So,
I know.
This meaning of how does one reconcile these concepts in their mind and have this innate faith that all will be well and that we are taken care of and that we're here to be joyful and to be of service?
I think it is for everyone. It is different. I think that anyone who is going to examine their lives, if they if they're really honest with themselves, they will identify that moment when pure faith got them through. And I know I was tested very early in my life. I, did not grow up with a mother, but there was someone who cared about me enough that I was very well taken care of physically. So maybe as a baby, that was my first lesson, is to, not need that maternal love that is having children of my own. It's, there for the rest of that journey. So, and I seem to thrive. I have some real recollections of times where, like, for example, I had to give up the concept that money and physical pleasures are to be preferred over the more austere kind of life that you lead when you're more, can I call it, in harmony with your surroundings. There was a time when anything that money could buy was given or accessible to me. It was a way for my husband to show him that I mattered and that and he wanted to have me around. But there came a time when I realized that life has no, it doesn't nurture you. It nurtures your ego. It nurtures all of the things that I thought at the time were very important, but it really did not nurture the soul. And I can only say that once you know the difference, you will choose to nurture the soul, because it is not dependent upon money. It is not dependent upon so many things that we think are absolutely necessary for us to enjoy life. It is something that is just so deeply satisfying, and you fill yourself with love, and you can, once you're filled, and I always make that distinction, you cannot just give it out unless you are being replenished. So I learned how to really draw in that love and then make it a point to give it out without judgment, without really analyzing it. It's just natural to me. And it's, if people thank me, I thank them, because it is because I can do that I'm motivated to fill myself with love. So I'm the winner, not the people who receive that. I am the one who has to say thank you. And it's a really, I can only encourage you, and I know you do that, but we have both we've known each other long enough that that we discovered is the real, how can I say, the real purpose of our being. I had someone over last night, people that I met, and she said, I don't know why I'm here. In this life, she has 4 children, and she said, I don't feel that I have a purpose. And I looked at her and I said, no, you do have a purpose. And she said, what's my purpose? I said, to be kind and to be loving. And she said, well, I never thought of that. And I said that we need this at this particular time in our on our planet. even the ones who think that they're not doing anything, as long as they're kind and loving, they are so needed to balance the hatred, the anger, the poverty, the racism, all of those things that people fill themselves with. It is people that just think or choose to think positive thoughts and send them out. They are so necessary. And all they really, really have to know is how important that is, so that they don't stop doing that.
Yes, it's very easy to get into that negative frame of mind about what's wrong with everything instead
Yeah.
of being grateful for what is and contributing to the positive and contributing to the loving kindness of the planet and sending out that. And it's not a Pollyanna thing. This is a really deep, heartfelt gratitude and love and the knowing that we're all connected, you know. Individually, we still have our individual spark, but we are all connected.
We are.
It's very obvious in some ways.
Yeah.
How that is.
Yeah.
When, how is that? Here's an example of that. Well, I'm thinking of someone and then the phone rings and it's them, right? That's an immediate response of how connected we are. You want someone buys a gift for you and it's the thing you've been thinking about that you really wanted to have. Those types of small things are just the beginning, just the beginning of how we are really all connected. And I so appreciate learning that from you about, really trying to pull out of the negative, pull out of the state of thinking that everything's always wrong all the time. The depression, it causes depression and anger and frustration, and looking into the gratitude of what is, the gratitude of our being.
Yes. We are. There are so many inspiring people that, if you think about physical handicaps, all you ever have to do is watch the Special Olympics. You say to yourself, wow, could there be any doubt? Or if you lose your faith, all you have to do is look at a baby. Look at how that miracle came together, in so many extraordinary ways. And how can anyone lose faith that, that life is a miracle? And it is what you see that you are going to project. So if you see beautiful, you're going to project beautiful.
Yes.
If you see anger or hatred, you're going to project that. So I caution everyone to really understand how powerful their thoughts are.
And actions, and actions.
That's right.
I was having this discussion earlier with someone about, life and how people respond to each other in life. And if they judge or see something that they don't like, they automatically put out a barrier to that, a block to that, which in turn blocks anything coming in and may create such an idea or a concept again in the future. And I said, well, that's really
a very good point.
So the definition of enlightenment in the most simplistic view is not to do that.
Well, live it.
Not to continue putting out the negative, the blocks, the judgments, to stop doing that and to see more with the eyes of compassion and love. And I think we're learning that now. It's really raising itself in such a concentrated matter that we're either going to go into kindness and love or something else.
Yeah, we're being challenged. Every step in our lives, there's always, you make decisions. And I had someone sit here across from me the other day who said, well, there was some news about Ukraine, which, we all feel kind of affecting us. And she said, there was some news that Putin, the leader, or they called it the Putin War, was not feeling well and didn't look good. And she said, I just wish the man would die of cancer in a very slow and torturous death. And I looked at her and I said to her, I would never want to think something like this, because the minute that I do, I am going to be so responsible for something that is so negative. I always think of the soul. The soul, of Putin came into this life in order to kind of be part of something where he could make choices, right? And how can I sit in judgment of that? It is his own karma that is going to be invoked in that. I don't want to have anything to do with that. So I only pray that, his soul is going to kind of realize that it is going to ascend, or, it doesn't have to be a physical place, but we all are going to face a different reality eventually. And so I am just hoping that his reality that he's living is going to translate into something where he still has an opportunity as a soul to progress into a better space. So, I don't want to sound...
We don't have to like the actions, but
exactly.
We don't have to engage in an emotional, mental, thought form process about it. I think that's really the difference. We may not like what's happening, but we do what we can from our end.
He's giving us an opportunity. All of those are teachers. Hitler was a great teacher. Look at what he taught us. To this day, he's being invoked as, so yeah, I think that is, all I can say is that it is really, really important to know the power that you have and to use it for good. That doesn't mean that you have to be a Mother Teresa to go into the slums of Calcutta. It's wonderful that there are some souls who do that, but we all have an opportunity to do something good. And that good is by thinking positive, loving, kind thoughts. If that's all you do, you have created miracles.
Yes.
True?
Yes. I agree. And gratitude. Being thankful.
Yeah.
Being thankful kind of helps.
It's true.
So I want to step into the part of our conversation that really fascinates me about you, that I feel could help so many, about your conscious concept of transition. I've only looked at it from a Buddhist perspective, because I've taken courses on how to assist in that transition for myself and for others. with a process. But hearing what you had to say about how you feel about this and how you would move forward with it is I think going to bring a lot of relief for others, if you wouldn't mind talking about
Well,
that.
first of all, you are much more qualified to talk about that because you have consciously made steps, learned about things that I haven't. Mine is a very personal experience. And ironically, it is the diagnosis of heart failure that forced me to sort of really evaluate that what I'm planning may never happen because, as they always say, you're just one heartbeat away from not being so well being in the physical body. So there's nothing morbid about that. To me, it was almost a blessing because you say to yourself, is there anything that you want to do, correct, say that before you go? And so it forced me to really take inventory. And there were quite a number of things that needed to be said, needed to be clarified, needed to be done. As a matter of fact, the day when I couldn't breathe anymore. And so that was about, kind of started around 8:00. But I knew how busy the hospital emergency rooms are at that particular time. So I said to myself, well, I'm going to wait until about 3:00 because then everything has calmed down. So the hours between 8 and 3, I went through all of them. I paid my estimated quarterly taxes. I wrote some checks that needed to be. I put some checks in a safe place that had been signed so that the people who need to be paid can be paid, and just kind of put things in order. And then at 3:00, I called the ambulance. I called 911. I said, I need an ambulance. So what's the problem? Well, I think I don't have a heart attack, but something is really wrong. I can't breathe. And the end result, of course, was, 3 or 4 hours later after tests that I had heart failure with a 10% ejection fraction. 10% is very, very low. So, but as I said, that was about 4 or 5 years ago. So what I'm trying to say is that over the last, and my life is not, I don't want to make it light, because there are many times when my heart gives me signals that it is working so hard that maybe it cannot make it. And so I'm very, I have ways to kind of slow down the pulse rate or get my blood pressure down so I don't stroke. But it is always there. I unlock the door just in case somebody has to come in. I do these things, but I'm very prepared to go. I surround myself with those energies that have helped me throughout my life. In my personal, I have 2 that I turn to. One of them is a being called Michael, who has been with me since that particular time that I had mentioned when the Russians, came, and I felt that presence protecting me. And the other one is Mother Mary. I don't know why, but it is just something that maybe because I didn't have that mother figure in my, even though I don't want to take anything away from my stepmother, who did an extraordinary job to get me through. But Mother Mary is the other energy that I feel that I can turn to. So having those kind of in my energy field, then I just surrender to it, and it is beautiful. There's nothing in my estimation to be afraid of, And when I am calmed down and I see another day, then it's another opportunity to do something good. God, I sound really like very Pollyannish.
Wait,
But
no, it's true. But, the reason this conversation came up was because I had gotten the message to sort of tune into you, and we're very connected. And I'm checking you out, and I'm thinking, well, she's not home. She's not in her body. What is she doing, right? She's not present in her physical system. I could feel that. And when you and I spoke, I mentioned that, so you're out and about these days. and you said yes. And then it came to my mind that you were practicing. There was this concept of practicing leaving the body, because as I know it, how I would teach people, now I have something completely on my plate that I can't explain anymore because it's just off the charts. But when I would teach people how to look at someone who's connected to this etheric grid, normally when they're not connected the way I see it or the way they see it, they're in pain or they're suffering or something's happened traumatically to make them leave. So we get them back reconnected and they calm down and then they're present and, everything is back to the one. But when I looked at you and I said, well, according to my definition of being connected, she's not connected. But when I'm speaking to her, there's no pain, there's no suffering. She's fine, she's laughing, she's having a beautiful time. It's all positive. I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is another definition of being connected. What's happening here? And it came to my mind, you were practicing on purpose. Most people don't leave on purpose. They leave because there's trauma, there's pain, they leave their bodies to escape what it is they're experiencing. Instead of saying, I'm going to practice going gently, easily, and effortlessly with a smile on my face, and it's all fine. Not many people do that. And that's what prompted this conversation, because when I said to you, you're practicing, you said yes. And I said, oh.
Yeah, I don't want to minimize that, I haven't yet passed over.
No, so, you're still here. Thank
so you. What will happen during those last moments, I do not know, but I also know that the mind is a wonderful tool to use to kind of program, the body. And so when I say practicing it, I think that's a very apt description. I play a game with myself. I said to myself, okay, I always say that we are manifesting and creating our own reality, right? And so you take responsibility for what you have and what you don't have. So I took it a step further and I said to myself, well, if we can create reality here on this planet, maybe I can also create my next adventure in the other realm, whatever the realm is, that is going to be manifested there. So I did sort of, so if I had a magic wand and I could create anything for myself that I would want, what would I what would I do? It was a very interesting kind of experiment because I wanted to be female because I love being female. I wanted to be loved, with one of those wonderful loves, which I was really incredibly blessed to have after, many years of living in a relationship that was resulted in 4 beautiful children, but was not that heart connection. I met my sweetheart, and we had 23 years of just incredible, yeah. And so I wanted to be female. I wanted to have that love connection. I wanted to be of service. I wanted to be able to be very logical and, in other words, smart. So I would be able to do something that was helping others, and I wanted to live in a beautiful space, in nature, but aesthetically pleasing. If there's such a thing as an automobile, it would have to be, something because I really love to have a car that is beautiful. And so when it was all said and done with this list, I said to myself, wow, that's what I have. So it was such a total, kind of a surprise to me that what I am living is something that from the depth of my soul, I was wishing for myself in another life. So is that not a wonderful thing to be able to say that?
I was just thinking, she's living that.
I know. So, I'm just hoping that in the next round, I will have a purpose. I will have experiences that make me be able to bring in love, to put it out, and thereby being able to harmonize things that need to be harmonized. So that's my wish.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful exercise, by the way, for anyone to try. Just sit down and or go into a deep state and have a discussion with your heart and your soul and say, what is it? If you could imagine anything, what would that be? What would you have? And when you did that, it turns out you've been living it.
Yeah, I mean, I had many, many experiences that were hard, difficult, but I could tell my life story, and they would both be true. There's one that was, where the mother left her and she went through a war and she was being threatened. Their life was threatened. She went through hunger. She lost everything that was happy to have a roof over her head. She lives in an area where she had to be in constant fear of wildfires. She had been evacuated 2 or 3 times. That would all be true. And you could concentrate on that. I lost money. I got a divorce. All of those things, they're all true. But it's the way you look at it from a different vantage point and how all of those things contributed to the day after of when you got through this, how wonderful life is. And so, all I can say is that if we spend energy on this, I know that there are a lot of people that have to fight for they have no jobs. They have to fight for their existence, the existence of their children. I understand all of that. And I have gone through some of those things. But I came out of it because I believed in the power that was given. That's my birthright, the birthright of every single soul. And what they do with it is something very individual. So yeah, there's hope, and it doesn't have to be in the future. It is right now. This moment that we are sharing now can never be duplicated. It is just now. It's this moment, and how blessed are we?
Yes, yes, yes. In the Hawaiian culture, they believe the past is their future. So whatever we can do to right now, right, becomes the past, which is our future.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of connected. Time is really a concept of man, created by man.
Linear time, definitely, because we have the ability to jump time. I mean, one of the fun things that you and I talked about was, this is another thing aside from what I've learned from you is one day I said, well, I'm going on this trip and I need to pack. And you said, well, you know what I do is I imagine myself in the future there. I can see myself there. I can see exactly what I need to bring, what I'm wearing. That's a neat trick.
I do that. It works. I mean, for me, I'm leaving next week, or is it maybe the week after? And I know exactly, what I'm going to wear to this thing, to that thing. So I pack exactly what I need, usually the day before, not more, not less.
But the way you get there is because you see it.
Yes. Yeah. When I choose, I love to plan trips, and to me, in the planning is the joy and excitement. But I project myself into that place, so I know which one to choose, because there are certain things that they never say on the website that I just, by projecting myself in there, I say, yeah, this is not exactly what I'm looking for, and I go to the next one. So when I do take trips, they always, they feel familiar already, because
you're projecting yourself.
Everyone has that ability.
Yes,
Everyone.
It's another reality. You're projecting yourself into another reality.
Yeah.
I think that's really a fun exercise. It's almost like knowing there's a parking space.
Yeah.
Those are all fun things to practice on this path in order to really get to this point where we have this deep faith that we're all really taken care of, and we don't have to be in fear so much about things.
Yeah, and trust me, I don't want to make light of the people who are going through incredible hardships right now. All I can say is that if you can see when you are in the depth of despair, that there is light, and all you have to do is just go within and bless the experience for giving you a chance to change things.
Bless the experience, blessing the experience and for giving you a chance to change things. It's very powerful. I've loved our discussions.
Thank you. We've had many, haven't we?
Oh, we have so much fun. Yeah. I love
Well, Melinda is a wonderful example of someone who really, how can I say, took a life that was always knowing. I mean, I think you were one of those people who were born knowing that there are realities that you can access. But she was afraid to, or you were afraid to kind of make it known because of the stigma, I think, that accompanied that. And if there is anything that you have shown to me, is courage to express who you are without fear of the judgment of some who will not understand. But that is, this is not your problem if they understand or not understand. It is you who is doing so much good because you've had the courage to show those who want to see your light. So, I thank you and I congratulate you.
Well, thank you. And I love you so much. Thank you for doing this interview. Are there any other words of inspiration you would like to leave for those that will be watching, or anything?
If there is one thing that I want to emphasize, is know the power of your thoughts. They have energy. Energy can never, it's a fact that it never disappears. So give it a target that is going to do something good rather than bad. So I encourage you to never feel that you cannot do something because you have been indoctrinated that you're powerless. Feel your power, and through your thoughts, give others peace of the heart and love. And that makes you a very valuable member of this wonderful community that we have on this planet.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love you, Evelyn. Thank you so much for doing this with me, having this interview, Evelyn Kaiser. You're just a beautiful, beautiful soul. And I miss your hugs.
Oh. Thank you, Melinda. Thank you so much for spending the time. Thank you for the beautiful job that you're doing. And may you have many more years to show your light and your wonderful healing abilities. So, love you.
Oh, thank you very much.